I'm honored to be with you today for a commencement from one of the finest universities in the world. Truth be told, I never graduated from college, and this is the closest I ever got to college graduation. Today, I'm gonna tell you 3 stories of my life. That's it. No big deal. Just 3 stories. The first story is about connecting the dots. I dropped out of college after the first 6 months, but stayed around as a drop-in for another 18 months or so before I really quit. So why did I drop out? It started before I was born. My biological mother was a young, unwed graduate student, and she decided to put me up for adoption. She felt very strongly that I should be adopted by a college graduate, so everything was all set for me to be adopted by a lawyer and his wife. Except when I popped out, they decided at the last minute that they didn't want a girl. So my parents, who were aware of this, got a call in the middle of the night asking, "We've got an unexpected baby boy. Do you want him?" They said, "Of course." My biological mother found out later that my mother had never graduated from college and my father had never graduated from high school. She refused to sign the final adoption papers. She only relented a few months later when my parents promised that I would go to college. This was the start in my life. And 17 years later, I didn't go to college. But I naively chose a college that was almost as expensive as Stanford. And all my working class parents' savings were being spent on my college tuition. After 6 months, I could see the burden in it. I had no idea what I would do in my life. I had no idea how college was going to help me figure it out. And here I was, spending all the money my parents saved the entire life. So I decided to drop out and trust that all will work out okay. It's pretty scary at that time, but looking back, it was one of the best decisions I have made. The minute I dropped out, I could stop taking the required class that didn't interest me and begin dropping them into ones that were far more interesting. It wasn't all romantic. I didn't know a dorm room. I slept on the floor for his friend's room. I returned Coke bottles to 5% deposit by food week, and I walked 7 miles across town every Sunday night to get one good meal a week at Hare Krishna temple. I loved it. And much I was stumbled into by following my curiosity and intuition can't be priceless later on. Let me give you one example. Lee College at that time offered the best calligraphy instruction in the country throughout the campus. A poster, a rainbow, and a level drawer with beautiful handicap. Because I dropped out and didn't have to take normal classes, I decided to take the calligraphy classes, learn how to do this. I learned self-prints, sans serif typefaces, other varying the amount of space between different combinations, but what makes typography great. It was beautiful, historical, artistically subtle in the way the sign can capture, and I found it fascinating. None of this happened in the hope of any practical application in my life. But 10 years later, when we designed the first Macintosh computer, it all came back to me, and we designed it all into the Mac. It was the first computer with beautiful typography. If I never dropped in a single course in college, the Mac would have never had multiple typefaces of a proportionally spaced font. And since Windows just copied the Mac, it's likely that no personal computer would have them. If I never dropped out, I would never do in the calculus. A personal computer might not have the wonderful typography that they do. Of course, it was impossible to connect the dots looking forward when I was in college. It was very clear looking backwards 10 years later. Again, you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. So you have to trust that those sound connected in your future. You have to trust something. Your gut, destiny, life, karma, whatever. because believing the dots will connect down the road, will give you your confidence to follow your heart, even when it leads you off the well-worn path, and that will make all the differences. My second story is about love and loss. I was lucky. I found what I love to do early in life. Once I had struggled my parents' garage in when I was training. We worked hard, and 10 years upgrew from just to a garage into $2 billion company with over 4,000 employees. We just released the finance creation, the Macintosh, a year earlier, and I just started. Then I got fired. How can I get fired from the company started? Well, as Apple grew, we hired someone who I thought very talented to run the company with me. For the first year or so, things went well, but the television future began to diverge, and eventually we are falling out. When we did, our board of directors sided with him. So I was 30, I was out. The Republican out. But being the focus the entire adult life was gone. It was devastating. I really didn't know what to do for him last. I felt the reputation entrepreneurs down. The light love baton being passed to me. I met David Parkers and Bob Noyes and tried to apologize to spring out so much. I was in Beverly Republic area and I even ran away from the barrier. But something slowly beginning to dawn on me. I still love what I did. The turn of events Apple will not change what we did. I've been rejected, but I still love. So I decided to start over. I didn't see it then, but China getting fired from love was one of the best that could ever happen to me. The heaviness of being successful was replaced the lightness of being again, the show of everything. It really never more critical periods in my life. During the next 5 years, I started a company named Next, another company named Pixar, and I fell in love with the amazing who became my life. Pixar when I created the world's first computer animated feature film, Toy Story, and is now the most successful animation studio in the world. In a remarkable turn of events, Apple bought Next, and Anna returned Apple, and technology we developed at the Next at the heart of Apple consumerism. And Reed and I have a wonderful family together. I'm pretty sure none of this would happen if I hadn't been fired after Apple. If I offered this medicine, but I guess the patient did it. Sometimes life's gonna hit you with a break. Don't lose faith. I'm convinced the only thing that kept me going is love what I did. You've got to find what you love. And that is true for your work as it is for your lovers. Your work is gonna feel a large part of your life. And the only way to be satisfied is to what you do believe is great work. And the only way to great work is to love what you do. If you haven't found yet, keep looking and don't settle. As with all the matters of heart, you know you'll find it. And like any relationship, it just gets better and better as the years go on. So keep looking, don't settle. My third story is about death. When I was 17, I read a quote when something like, if you live each day as if you did your last, someday your most deserving be right. It made an impression on me, and since then, for the past 33 years, I live in the middle every morning ask myself, if today was the last day of my life, what I am going to do, what I am about to do today. Whenever the answer has been no for too many days in a row, I know I need to change something. Remembering that all will be dead soon is the most important tool I've ever encountered to help me figure out big choices in life. Because almost everything, or external expectations, our pride, or fear of the very material, these things just fall away in the face of death. Even only what is truly important. Remember that you are going to die. It's the best way I know to avoid the trap of thinking you have something to lose. You are already naked. There is no reason not to follow your heart. About a year ago, I was diagnosed with cancer. I scanned at 7:30 in the morning and then clearly showed a tumor in my pancreas. I even know what pancreas was. The doctors told me this was almost certain type of cancer that's incurable, that I should expect it to be no longer than 3 to 6 months. My doctors advised me to go home and get my affairs in order, which is doctor's code for prepare to die. It means try and tell your kids everything. You thought you have the next 10 years till them. Just it means make sure everything is buttoned up so that it's as easy as possible for your family. It means say to your goodbyes. I live with that diagnosis all day. Later that evening, I had a biopsy, but I stuck my throat, through my stomach into my intestines, put a needle into my pancreas, got a few cells in my tumors. I was sedated, but my wife was there, told me that what would be this microscope. The doctor started crying, because it found a very rare form of pancreas that is curable with surgery. I had the surgery, and thanks to me, I'm fine now. This was the closest I've been facing death, and I hope it's closest I get for many decades. Having lived through it, I can now tell you what we suffering to this is useful but period intellectual concept. No one wants to die. Even people who want to go to heaven don't want to die to get there. And yet, this is a destination we all share. No one ever escapes it. And that is, as it should be, because this is a very likely the single best invention of life. It's life-change agent. It's created out the old, make for the new. Like now, the new is you. But someday, not too long from now, you are gradually becoming old and be created away. Sorry, dramatic, but it's quite true. Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. Don't be trapped by dogma, which is living with the results of other people's thinking. Don't let the knowledge of other opinions drown on your voice. And most important, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. Based on how they know what you truly want to become. Everything else is secondary. When I was young, there was an amazing publication called the Hold Arthur Carter, which is one of the Bibles of my generation. It was created by a fellow named Sturgeon and not far from here in Melbourne Park, and it brought to life with political touch. This was the late 60s, before personal computer desktop publishing, so it was all made with typewriters, scissors, and Polaroid cameras. So like Google's in paperback form 35 years before Google came along. It was idealistic, of a friend and new tools, and great motion. Stewart and Jim team put out several issues that held our schedule, and then when it ran its course, they put out the final issue. It was the mid-1970s, and I was your age. On the back cover of the final issue, with a photograph and an urban marine country road, cut by figure hitchhiking on if you use your adventures. Beneath it with the word, stay hungry, stay foolish. Their farewell message is a sign off. Stay hungry, stay foolish. And I've always wished that for myself. And now, as you gradually begin anew, I wish that for you. Stay hungry, stay foolish. Thank you all very much. Woo! 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 Thank you for listening.